Procrastination gets a bad rap. We don't have time to procrastinate. How many times have we heard that from our paymasters, the less enlightened management? With the clock ticking, the hours passing, how many times have we convinced ourselves that we can't even squeeze a little procrastination into our routine? Not with work mounting, clients pushing, deadlines pressing, but I'll argue we should make time, which might fly in the face of common sense. There's nothing productive on the surface about procrastination. And that is a view supported by no less a volume than the Bible in the book of Ecclesiastes. If you wait until the wind and the weather are just right, you will never plant anything and never harvest anything. Procrastination is for the lazy, the idle. It's a complete and utter waste of time. But I'm going to suggest it's none of the above. Far from it. Procrastination is the key to productivity. Without letting procrastination into your world, you won't be as productive as you could be. Procrastination in the right doses can enable you to do powerful things. A little procrastination, yes, it can go a long way. So this is a short, sharp shock into the hows and whys of escaping reality and why we should all be pro-procrastination. I suppose I should define the word. For me, procrastination is more than activity displacement, putting things off, avoiding getting down to the job in hand. But as the Oxford English Dictionary, somewhat behind my line of thinking, reminds us, procrastination is the action of delaying or postponing something. Procrastination, it is claimed, is the thief of time. The thief of time, is it? I'd like to proffer some different thoughts that differ from the dictionary definition and challenge those common assumptions. Procrastination is not about avoiding work, about shirking, about burying our head in the sands until it's too late. No. It's time for a semantic shift. Time for that word, that glorious word, to leave behind its negative connotations in order that we can get on with it. Or rather, not get on with it. We professional procrastinators know that there is hard work ahead. We don't deny that. But we're also aware that rushing into that hard work is folly. We're aware that there is an essential stage we have to visit first. Working creatively is about going on a journey. And I'm sure we've all been on a tortuous trip when we realise all too late that we should have factored in some extra time. Remember when we didn't have to get straight down to work, when we were allowed to play. Put yourselves back in the playground for a moment. Playtime. Those childhood days when your brain was free from reason and free from responsibility. Remember how good that felt. How positive you were about life and its endless possibilities. That everything and anything was possible. Imagine bringing that enthusiasm and outlook to your work. Because everything and anything is possible. Fear. Fear inspires those that work creatively, or more accurately, confronting fears, exploring those fears for years, months, weeks, days, hours, minutes, seconds, before sitting down to actually do something. For me, a writer, procrastination does involve endless journeys to the fridge, riverside walks, staring off into space. But that's merely the physical manifestation. Mentally, there's a lot going on inside my mind. When I write, I want to provoke a single thought that perhaps hadn't previously occurred to someone sitting in the audience. But writing isn't magic, it's a process. Being creative is a process. Being productive is a process, and procrastination is part of that productive, creative process. The truth is, you never know what's going to happen when you sit down to write. Those commissioning work might require outlines, treatments, character breakdowns, intricate plans in triplicate, schematic diagrams explaining what's going on inside your mind. But all that inevitably gets cast aside at some point, and you're on your own in the garret with nothing but your thoughts. And then once again, you don't know what's going to happen until you kickstart the process, until you enter the period of writing that doesn't involve any physical writing whatsoever, when you're mining your imagination, when you start to make things up. Yes, it's all made up. And in order to make it up, you have to be the window starer, not the clock watcher. And we shouldn't watch the clock at all. Successful procrastinators are not obsessed with time in the least. Hemingway, and I'm not going to argue with the big guy said that we should always stop when there is still something there in the deep part of the well, in order that the springs that feed the well fill it back up. And that moment he speaks about is the best starting point. We need to learn to not think about things in order that our subconscious can get to work on them. And we do that by not thinking, unthinking, de-thinking, procrastinating. Momentum is key, but we build momentum by getting things moving slowly at first, getting into a regular rhythm by taking a series of baby steps, the kind of steps a child might take. For the writer, the creative, this pre-stage is about getting rid of the layers of nonsense that surround a big idea, about stripping work back to its bare essentials, its skeletal form, allowing yourself and the idea the space needed in order for it to breathe, to spring into life. Writer's block. There's something that those that want to write are always obsessed with. Interruptions to the writing process occur when you hit a snag, a hump that you can't quite get over. Doing that requires procrastination in order that you can solve the problems that you're confronted with, in order that you can deliver what's in your head onto the page. Now, we all want to work creatively. The creative industries are arguably the only industry that recognises that postponing the inevitable is essential. And look at the results. Great pieces of entertainment, incredible works of art. So we need, in the words of Robert Louis Stevenson, to find a circuitous and unlamented way to the fire of creativity. And that involves creating the conditions for the brain to work with much vivacity, and then groping for the real heart of our ideas. So how do you get to this other place? A place where we're not planning, strategizing, but going beyond thinking. How is it possible to open up those windows of opportunity that carry you into this never, never land? This is not the easy part. In order to be function, we need to be left alone. We need to cast everything aside, cut ourselves off, rid ourselves of all distractions. We need to unbundle our lives, let go of some aspects, everything that is unimportant, some things that are important. We need to be selfish. Yes, selfish. We have to accept that on occasion it is perfectly okay to be narcissistic, to give in to the ego, which is, after all, the motor that drives us. It's okay to do this in order to become an empty vessel for everything that follows. And then we can now allow ourselves the luxury of stumbling on solutions rather than spending hours and hours rigidly planning things out. During the months and years before we produce our best work, we need to let it evolve, let it ferment in our minds, let our subconscious put things in order. Because the point when we sit down to do the job, whatever work we're engaged in, is usually the point when it all goes wrong, all falls apart, fails to make sense. I'm sure we've all been there, and that is because we sat down too early. Everything is worked out by hard labour and frequent polishing, said Churchill. And that hard work starts with another stage, this pre-stage. To get there, you need to work differently in ways that you have never worked before. Do the opposite of your normal practice or process. Hang out with art, literature, culture in all its forms as often as you can. Be liberal with post-it notes, doodling, spreadsheets, filing, index cards, and then throw all that away. Explore emotions. Develop a passion for everything that you do. 3 important words. Don't be safe. In fact, do anything that's not safe. Live dangerously. Work dangerously. Fly by the seat of your pants. It's fun. Make it fun. Stick 2 fingers up to planning and don't care what people think. Remember that childlike naivety. You need to get back to that in order to be free. Remember how perfectly formed our ideas are when they're still in our minds. When they're ready, they will burst out of there. But the putting it off has to become more painful than the putting down of the idea for you to do that perfect idea justice, to make it match your vision. Only then should it leave your mind and you return to what most people would regard as the real world. And this is how to form castles in the air, waking dreams, imaginary incidents, a space in which you are effectively a puppeteer from above. Recognise that all this is time well spent Accept that having no idea what you are doing is the real route to discovering what you should be doing. It's the anti-strategy strategy. What happens next? Embrace the freedom that not quite knowing that answer will bring, and relax in the knowledge that it will be the best solution, the most memorable end result that you've ever come up with. So to conclude, procrastination is not the thief of time. It's the stage in the creative process that allows you to be at your most productive. Churchill did say, everything is worked out by hard labour and frequent polishing, and we should all intend to polish till it glitters. Aim for perfection. So shift your thinking. Be pro-procrastination. Procrastinate, and then do your best. Thank you.